I know it's not metal or music related. But you know what, I'm a nerd. I like playing video games. Not all nerds are metalheads, but all metalheads are nerds. Someone who's subscribed to me to metal might enjoy just listening to me talk about video games for a bit. Thank you so much to all 9 of our exclusive Patreon members. Yes, Claire, you heard it here first. 9! If you want to join our Patreon, the link is in the description below. Now, real quick, these aren't games that came out this year that I played. They're just the games that I played this year because, well, I can't afford to buy new games. I think I only played like 1 or 2 brand new games this year. Shall we just start with number 10? And it's been on in the background this whole time. Teamfight Tactics. I just got really into TFT way back in January, and I just played it literally every night for a month solid. We're currently on like the Arcane set, which is pretty good. I'm quite enjoying it. The one before this set I wasn't too keen on, but the one before that with the music genres, I thought that was sick. I really enjoyed the way when you like merged genres together, the background music changed. Another reason why I really like this game is because I used to be obsessed with League of Legends, like actually obsessed. It was quite worrying. The reason why I stopped playing League is because I really don't like playing online with random people, because all it takes is one dickhead to just ruin your whole experience. Which is why I like TFT, because technically you only need to come 4th to win. 3rd, 2nd, that's a bonus. 1st, it just feels so fucking amazing to come 1st. Yeah, just really enjoy it. TFT, number 10. Dave the Diver. It's just so cozy. And if anyone knows me very well, you know I really like fish. I just really like aquatic life as much as Claire hates that I'm just obsessed with looking at weird shit in the sea. And the story is really good. The characters are really charming. The graphics are just so clean. It's just a really fun game. The whole idea is you dive down to gather ingredients during the day, and then at night you run a sushi restaurant with the ingredients that you gathered. And that loop is just so addicting. You just slowly upgrade yourself so you can dive further, and the further you dive down, the more the story unfolds. It's just a really clever game. But if you aren't into cozy games, it actually does have a decent amount of action. There's loads of different genres at play here. For example, there's a bit where you have to go in a stealth mission, like Metal Gear Solid 2D kind of thing. There's also like farming. You can also collect Pokemon cards with this fat version of Ash Ketchum, and the Pokemon cards are fish. It's a real fine line between shit's popping off and this is relaxing. Just really nice game. Definitely recommend it. Pokemon Red. Claire bought back her Game Boy Advance SP, and I just happened to have a copy of Pokemon Red. It didn't really work at first when I put it in, so I got some like alcohol solution thing and cleaned up the prongs and stuff, and yeah, now it works perfectly. And I tell you what, it's just a really good game still. Maybe it's nostalgia. It probably is nostalgia. Playing through Pokemon Red again after all these years, and bearing in mind I do really like Pokemon, I've played all of them, but this Pokemon Red just proved to me that Pokemon games just used to be so much better. And I don't know if it's nostalgia talking. I don't know. It probably is, but it's just so much fun. Look at the graphics. They're amazing. It's Pikachu. But yeah, also what I really liked is just playing it on the original hardware. I have it on Steam Deck. I could emulate it, but there was just something really nice about putting it into the Game Boy Advance SP and just playing it properly as God intended. I work for Wood, beat 'em ups. He had a spare Steam Deck and he sent me it, and I love it. And on it, I've turned it into this kind of emulation machine where I'm just going back and playing loads of old games. And for some reason, and I don't know why, but I've really got into survival horror this year. One of the first ones that I tried was Silent Hill on PS1. I finished the whole game. I got the worst ending. I was too scared to go exploring in the town because of the weird gorilla things, so I was just like, I'm just gonna run past these fuckers. And that's why I got the bad ending, because I didn't find the guy, and then I had to kill the police officer. Yeah, if you played it, you know. One thing I really liked about Silent Hill 1 is the PS1 graphics really add to the horror. There's just this kind of uncanniness to everyone's faces that don't really move, and then everything's all jittery in that lovely, nostalgic PS1 way. And I tell you what, the voice acting is awful, but I like it.
What's going on here?
It adds to that uncanny valley kind of vibe.
Where do you think you're going?
My daughter. I've got to find her.
It's just so shit. but it's so creepy. And obviously if you played it, you know the controls suck on purpose. It's like tank controls where you have to like kind of like move like a tank. It's hard to explain if you haven't played it. Yeah, you kind of like move around like you're driving a tank. There you go, you like pivoted. I actually got used to them quite quickly and I quite liked them. And Silent Hill games are also really good at creating a space that you just don't want to be in, but it's so weird and creepy that you just can't help but push forward to see what weird shit comes next. I think it's aged, not like milk, but I wouldn't say it's aged like wine. It's just aged gracefully. Paper Mario The 1000-Year Door HD. I never played the original, and by the time I got interested in playing the original, it cost so much fucking money. But yeah, this game, it's just so much fun. It's so colourful. The story is actually pretty damn good for a Mario RPG. Usually they're a bit generic. It just has really cool settings, really cool characters. The battle system's really cool too. It's like your standard like Mario RPG stuff if you've played it. The enemy will come along and you have to time the button pressed in order for the damage to go lower, and then you like time your attacks perfectly to do more damage and that kind of thing. The only other ones I've played are Paper Mario on N64 and Super Paper Mario on Wii. I've not actually played the newer ones just because I've heard their shit and they just lean too much into the paper theme. I think they got the paper theme perfectly in this game. Look, and you go in the background and stuff. I don't know, it's just a really charming game. The Last of Us Part 1 Remastered. I played The Last of Us Remastered on PS4 quite a while ago now, like 2017, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it was legitimately the first horror game I've ever played. I say horror loosely because, well, it is horror, but there's no jump scares, which is what I liked. There's absolutely no jump scares, it's all atmosphere. I've just got this weird thing where like just for like one day it would be really cool to just be in a zombie apocalypse and then finding out it fucking sucks and then going back and sitting on my sofa and playing this instead. I really like the idea of like going and rummaging through old shit and scavenging and finding like materials. I really like the survival element of it, and The Last of Us is really good at that. The survival, the scavenging. A lot of the main story beats do come from when you go off the beaten path, and there's lots of one-on-ones with Ellie and Joel where they just have a conversation. It's actually one of my biggest criticisms about the show. I feel like the show could have benefited from 1 or 2 more episodes where it was just focused on Ellie and Joel. The side character episodes are really cool and they're really well made, but it did make it feel like Joel's shoot up at the end just was like, oh, okay, Joel's doing this now. Whereas in the game, because you spend so long with Ellie, you actually get to see their progression. I reckon the show personally should have been a 2 season on game 1 instead of 1 season on game 1. Alright, number 4. You can probably tell that my taste in video games is all over the place. 1 second I'm playing Silent Hill, the next I'm playing little Gator game. The whole idea is that big sister is so focused on her dissertation, I think it was, that she doesn't have any time to play with little Gator. So what he does is he gets all the kids on the island to join together and build this epic like story to try and get the big sister to come and play with them. Sometimes kind of reminds me of when Willow wanted to play with me, but I was a grumpy teenager and I was like, no, I don't want to play with you. And now I'm like, I feel bad about it. Willow, if you're watching, I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know, it just gave a tear in my eye just playing it. It was just so damn cute. As you can see, there's no like actual combat. What they've done is throughout the islands, they've just put these little cardboard cutouts of enemies around as like bad guys that you just go and shoot. I got the Plat Trophy in 1 sitting, took me 4 hours, and it was just so nice. I really like short games. Games that you just pick up and you just play and you have a great time, and when it's done, you're just like, that was good. But yeah, if you like cozy games, you should definitely try Little Gator Game. It is adorable. After me and Claire played Baldur's Gate 3 last year, we both got this itch to play more co-op games together, and I've just heard so many good things about It Takes Two, especially as the fact that it won Game of the Year in 2021, which is incredible for a platformer. More on that later. It is genuinely one of the best games I've ever played. I was expecting just like a platformer where, you know, one of them has the hammer, you hammer in nails, he throws the nails, you know, little things like that. But they just take you to so many amazing locations, like in space, or when you're like riding ladybirds and shit. It's just so much fun, and there's so many different genres. Like there's one bit where Claire was like in like a proper like Street Fighter fight, and she was fighting, I can't remember what it was, I think it was a squirrel, but I was flying the plane. So there's like two completely different games going on at the same time, and I just thought it was so clever. The story itself is really charming, essentially about a mum and a dad who are going through a divorce, and the whole story is basically them trying to reignite their passion for each other. They start out so cold, but it's just so nice to see them like slowly get on again. If you've not played It Takes Two and you've got someone to play it with, because it is only co-op, I would definitely recommend it. Tunic, one of the most nostalgic games I've ever played for a game that I didn't play back in the day. I don't know if that makes sense. It's essentially a Legend of Zelda cross Dark Souls, Souls-like adventure where you play as this cute little fox. The game is just full of mystery. So when you press start, it opens this instruction manual, and loads of pages are missing. There's already someone who's written on the pages as well, and you're just trying to figure out what the hell's going on in this world. And as you find these pages, it adds to the instruction manual, and the instruction manual is legitimately like an old instruction manual from like the PS1 days, where you actually needed to go through and read it in order to know what's going on in the world. And I actually beat this game without looking anything up, because the instruction manual, while cryptic, if you really do just look at it and pay attention, you do start figuring out what they're trying to go for, and you're like, oh shit, I actually need to go over there and do that thing before I do this. I don't know, it's just so clever. As it's a Souls-like, it's actually a really hard game, and just like Dark Souls, when you get to these like shrine things, it resets all your health and mana, all the enemies respawn, and you can level yourself up. I can see why so many games have done it now. It's just a really polished system. The story as it unfolds, I'm not going to do any spoilers because it is really cool doing the story for yourself. One thing I will say is, if you want to 100% this game without a walkthrough, good luck. Once you roll credits, you start realizing, hang on, something ain't right here. And yeah, I'm not going to say anything else, but God, it's like old school video game bullshit, and I love it. Alright, real quick before we get to number one, I want to do some quick honourable mentions, because I played a lot of games this year and I wanted to talk about more than 10 games. Sorry. Honourable mention number one is Animal Well. This game is hard and atmospheric and creepy, and I love it. It's a Metroidvania, but it's a Metroidvania that I've never really played before. There's no combat, you kind of just have to survive. Loads of really clever puzzles, and the items that you find are just so unique. It's also made by one guy. All the music, the graphics, the story, the game, everything. One guy. Amazing. Honourable mention number two, Plucky Squire. Inside the book, it's all 2D, and the story is being unfolded within the book. And then when you jump out of the book, it becomes 3D, and you're on this little like 10-year-old's desk, where you get to explore his desk and run around his pens and pencils and jump into all the like drawings that the little kid has made. And the genres change as you jump into different worlds. One of the reasons why it's not in my top 10 though is I do feel like they could have done more with it. Honourable mention number three, Thank Goodness You Are Here. If you want to play a game that will make you laugh, this is the game. This game is so funny, especially if you're British. It's set in Northern England and it's just so dumb. It's got that Monty Python stupidity. The whole like premise of the game is that you arrive in this town and you just kind of like help people, hence thank goodness you're here, because when you do help them, they're just like, oh, thank goodness you're here. It would have been in my top 10 had it been a bit, I wouldn't say longer, I'd say it's the perfect length. It only takes about 2 hours to finish, but I bought it at full price for 20 quid. I'd say if you get it on sale, it's definitely worth picking up. Honourable mention number 4, Dark Cloud. So as I said earlier, I played a lot of games on emulation on my Steam Deck this year. It's one of the first super long games I ever finished as a kid. And I remember when I beat the Dark Genie, I ran into the living room where Mum and my stepdad were, and I was like, I did it! I beat the Dark Genie! And they were both like, cool. Oh no, it's like a dungeon crawler, randomized dungeon crawler where you go in, you find the items in the dungeons, you bring them out and you repair villages. And then there's this whole like Sim City kind of system where you're just like plonking towns and roads around, and you go down and you talk to the villagers and you see what they actually want. When you get a decent amount of happiness, you get an item, and then you beat the boss and then you move on to the next place. It's very jank, but I really enjoyed it because nostalgia. Also, I played it on ×2 speed on my Steam Deck because it's a really slow game. I definitely would not have finished it again as an adult if I couldn't have sped it up. Finally, the last game that I'm going to mention before I get to my game of the year is Silent Hill 2 on PS2. I have not played the remake yet. I really want to, but it also looks really scary and I don't want to spend loads of money on it and then get scared and then not play it because I'm too scared. Like I said in the old one, it's just a place you don't want to be, but it's so fucked up that you just kind of want to keep going because you just want to see what fucked up shit happens next. Also, Pyramid Head. I've always found his design quite funny, but now I've actually jumped into Silent Hill 2. He's fucking terrifying, and he just appears out of nowhere, and he's really fast, and I don't like him. Claire thinks he's fit.
How dare you?
It is just a masterpiece horror game. I think it is amazing. The only reason why it's not in the actual list and Silent Hill 1 is because I've not finished it yet. My favourite game of the year is Astro Bot on PS5. The game that won Game of the Year. I still don't know how that happened. When they announced it, I actually got a tear in my eye because I was like, oh man, my baby. I'm like a proud dad. Like, I really thought Black Myth Wukong or Final Fantasy Rebirth were going to win. But, I mean, God, it's just the little robot that could. My favourite genre of games are 3D platformers, which sucks because they don't come around that often. And I don't know why, because I feel like people like them. It's Crash Bandicoot. That was one of the best parts about the game, because every 3D platformer needs a collectible. Mario Odyssey, it's moons. This, you collect your robot partners that fell out of space and you're going to save them. And a lot of them are based on Sony IPs or just video game IPs in general. Crash Bandicoot, Solid Snake, Sly Cooper, Bloodborne is in here. You got Pyramid Head from Silent Hill 2. Terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Really cool to see Max from Dark Chronicle, which is the sequel to Dark Cloud. Dark Chronicle is way better than Dark Cloud. Why do I like it so much? Well, it's just so polished. It's got that Nintendo polish.
Oh, the Nintendo polish.
If you don't play Nintendo games, you just won't get it. But it has the Nintendo polish. And I can't even explain what that even is. It's just so fun and charming and everything works. There's no glitches. It's just really tightly designed. And when I say Nintendo polish, it's crazy because when Astro Bot did win Game of the Year, the person who went on stage to do the speech actually, without saying the name Nintendo, thanked Nintendo for the inspiration. The Nintendo polish. That's what I'm saying! You get these power-ups like the chicken that makes you go fly into the sky, or the bulldog that makes you headbutt, or the frog gloves that make you punch things, or the monkey that you climb things with. It's just all so fun! And it made me happy. One of the biggest things about this game is the price. It did take me about 10 to 12 hours to get the Platinum Trophy, and I bought it for 60 quid. Is it worth it? It's up to you. I had way more fun with this 10-hour long game than I did with any 100+ hour games. I think it's worth it. And to be honest, it's one of those games, because it's so short, I will definitely replay. There's a reason why I go back to the old Crash Bandicoot games every so often. It's because they take like 3 hours to finish. Yeah. Do you mind?
Sorry.
But yeah, they are my 10 games of the year. Let me know yours in the comments section. I'd love to know what people have been playing. And Merry Christmas. It's Christmas, hence the Christmas tree. I hope it wasn't too distracting. It actually wasn't meant to be on flashy mode. It was meant to be on twinkly mode.
Oh, yeah! It's me, D. Snyder of Twisted Sister. Yeah, you know me. And I am here to tell you, subscribe to Mead and Metal. Subscribe to Mead and Metal. The power of Christ. Subscribe to Mead and Metal.